Chrissy, co-founder of The Uncommon Ground. We're a process-focused marketing agency based out of Niagara Falls. I'm going to talk to you about the importance of a well-organized sales and marketing process for your company. Here's a picture of your company, your hopes and dreams, your goals, and your best intentions. You take pride in your success, and your company takes one of the top priorities of your life. But how often do you feel like this? Overwhelmed by the demands on your attention and time? And how about this? Day-to-day fires to put out, stress from every angle. And what about this? Chaos. From the little things that pile up, the little things that should be easy. Until you feel like this. A far stretch from the first picture, that life that we dream about. So what does this have to do with marketing? It has everything to do with marketing. In our companies, we tend to look at areas or departments like they're separate entities. We put on an accounting hat to look at numbers. We put on a marketing hat to purchase ads. We put on a sales hat to close deals. And we put on a contractor hat to finish an installation. This ends up in chaos, disgruntled employees, and a reactive way of managing our business. For your company to flourish, you need to look at it as a whole, like an entire body made up of parts that contribute to the wellness of the whole. Just as the physical aspects of your work are managed using process, so should your sales and marketing process. Imagine getting to the job site, realizing that you have some fill in the way, so you decide to backfill first. Then you lay tile, then you dig a trench. Of course, that's crazy. You would never do that. But that's exactly how we handle our sales and marketing process every day. Think about this. A print ad rep calls you to tell you about a sale that's going on. You're in a hurry, so you say yes. Not just to get him off the phone, but also because you know you should be marketing in some capacity. A few weeks later, a potential client sees the ad, they give you a call, but you're busy doing the everyday work and putting out fires. Eventually, a week later, you give the lead a call back. You don't have any idea how the lead found you. You're just checking something off your long list of things to do. Unfortunately, it took you so long to get back to them that they found someone else to do the work in the meantime. Without structure in this process, you can't know what's working and what's not. What happens next? You end up cherry picking the low-hanging fruit. You end up working for people who you shouldn't be working for. Did you know that 4% of the population consists of consumers that are impossible to satisfy? This 4% ends up costing you in the long run. These are the squeaky wheels. With a good structure, those clients can be weeded out early, and your time can be better spent nurturing relationships with good, productive clients. So how do you combat this reactive cycle? There are 3 steps. First of all, build a framework. Create a crystal clear sales process from marketing through shipping and customer satisfaction. Find your voice and project it. Refine and align your brand, your message, your values, and broadcast your voice. Measure the results. Measure the results of your marketing, your customer feedback, and your production errors. Let's take a look into each step a little deeper. The first step is to build a framework. You'll need to map your marketing and sales process. Write down what happens from the first marketing effort to project completion. Write down every action, every form fill out, every email sent, and every document signed. You'd be surprised to see not only how much waste is in the process, but also how much of this can be organized, delegated, and also automated. Most companies that I work with don't have any plan at all when it comes to incoming leads. I always ask, what happens when the phone rings? And then what happens? Then what happens? And then what happens? I always observe employees looking at each other, a little lost, each thinking of their own part, but thinking hard about the system as a whole. No one person can ever tell me what happens from beginning to end. When there's this lack of clarity, it's really easy to guess that there's a lot that falls through the cracks. People assuming that someone else is doing the next step, or that the person has finished the groundwork before passing it along. The next step, you need to assess your current software. When I go into a company to begin their assessment, I'm always surprised by how many have not embraced technology. So often they'll open up their Excel 97 database of customers, and we can seriously have a coffee in the time that it takes for that file to open. Not only is this a waste of time, but most modern integrators and CRMs are not compatible with obsolete software. Out-of-date software is costing businesses unnecessary amounts of time and money. Also, most business owners don't realize how affordable automation and integrations have become. I'm sure you've all experienced how creepy Facebook, Amazon, and Google are, following us around and collecting data. How you can search for the latest hot dog maker on Google, and suddenly hot dog maker ads are appearing on your Facebook feed and Amazon emails, driving you crazy until you purchase that hot dog maker of your dreams. Well, that technology is available to all of us now. I actually spend most of my time helping companies set up and utilize these tools. I'm sure you've noticed that most websites now have a pop-up that asks you to allow cookies. A cookie is a beautiful little tiny text file created by a website that's stored on a user's computer, either temporarily for that session only or permanently on the hard disk. Cookies provide a way for the website to recognize you and keep track of your preferences. So, I'll be totally upfront here. I am a technological early adopter. I have an Alexa in almost every room in my house. Alexa keeps me on schedule, keeps track of my appointments, controls all the lighting in my house. I can mess with my kids when I'm out of town, turn off their bedroom lights on them. Alexa controls my thermostat, my vacuum, plays my podcast, my music, displays my photo albums. I welcome technology with open arms, and I love helping companies learn to embrace it. Cookies help in this effort. Cookies help remember what you like and what you don't like, and they can let a company know the products that you've been looking at on their websites. And you can mess with it to test it. A few years ago on Facebook, I put my age as 81, that I'm female, and I also post pictures of my horse often. Soon, the ads that were appearing for me on Facebook were denture cream, Depends, Planning My Will. My favorite was an ad for a shirt that said, "The coolest grandmas ride fast horses." It was then that I realized how amazing this new world is. I don't have to put up with ads for things that I'm not interested in. The digital world is now tailored to what I like and what fits my age range. Companies are and should be embracing this. I've been in sales most of my life and was previously a sales manager. I led my sales team and was faced with the problems that all managers and business owners faced. Who should my salespeople be following up with? How are they deciding who to pursue? Who are they ignoring? With great software that utilizes cookies, they can do a much more efficient job of converting prospects to sales. For example, if you had an email drip campaign going out to your potential clients, and one of your leads clicks a link on the email, which brings them to your website onto a page with a great deal, the next day, that potential lead visits the page again to reread the details. Well, at that very moment, a text message can be sent to the salesperson responsible for that product or territory. Now the salesperson doesn't have to guess who needs attention. I can tell you in my first few sales positions, I often made visiting decisions based on who had the best coffee or who served donuts. Had I had this insight into my prospects' interests, I would have made much better visiting decisions and would have closed a lot more sales. With all of these technological advances at your fingertips, doing an assessment on your current software is necessary to the structure of your sales process. The next thing you need to do to build your framework is to create a written plan and set clear goals. I love the saying, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. It's so true. If we amble along in our companies with no direction, we won't grow. Even if sales increase, we'll have trouble managing. Writing down a plan doesn't need to be difficult. To start, you can simply write your goals down on one page in point form. Include sales goals, growth targets, website traffic goals, hiring goals. Once it's written down, share it with your team. Make sure those goals become everyone's goals. The second step is to find your voice and project it. You'll need to refine your message. What makes your company special? What sets you apart? What do you want to do more of? Next, define your target audience and plan where to find it. Who is your ideal customer? Where are they? What are their interests? And what's their price sensitivity? Once you know who they are, you can research where to find them. Here are some ways to reach your audience. Digital media. Digital media includes online publications, email blasts, can include your own email drip marketing campaigns. These are effective because of the reach you get into highly targeted audience that was built by a third party or by your company through newsletter signups and trade show promotions. Social media. It can be an incredible tool for your company. Not only can you gain exposure with low cost, but you can also become a trusted advisor in your chosen field. The key is to be open, honest, and give information that is relevant to your target audience. This helps you gain a trusting base of followers. Always remember to not be overly political or offensive, as that can cause damage to your brand and alienate potential customers. The power of social media is that you can connect with your audience on a deeper, more personal level. Your following can get to know your brand and your values. So I was part of a Midwest crop tour 5 or 6 years ago. During that tour, we were looking for farmers and manufacturers to interview and get their views on the growing year, the outlook that they had on agriculture and the economy. So we decided every evening we'd post on Twitter where we were going the following day and whether there were any farmers interested in being interviewed by us. Sure enough, the requests for our visits poured in, and we were in the lucky position to plan our stops by the route we decided to take. It was incredible to see the instant response and to see how our followers felt like they were with us through our 16-day journey through the Midwest. Google AdWords are key words and phrases that your company can bid on to be placed in the first ads on a Google search. This is a good way to get immediate results and clicks to your site. You only pay when someone clicks through to your site. You can bid on product names, phrases, and also on competitor names and terms. SEO means search engine optimization. This is a long-term strategy that uses keywords through your website, uses fresh content generation, and uses backlinks from sites with high traffic. SEO is most often outsourced due to its complexity and the ever-changing Google algorithms. A good SEO plan will, over time, raise your rankings on search engines. This is an integral part of your marketing strategy. Whereas Google AdWords stop producing results the moment you pause or stop the campaign, SEO campaigns provide lasting results, although they take more time to build. Trade shows offer highly targeted places where your audience gathers. The best thing about trade shows is that you get to meet people face to face. You get to shake their hands, you get to see the industry trends, and build relationships all under one roof. The biggest challenge that I've experienced with trade shows, and at one time I was exhibiting at over 20 a year, is that there's a lot happening within the span of a few days. And if you don't have a good system for processing leads, the investment is completely lost. Without a good system of delivering quotes and following up, it's not worth attending. Years ago, I did some market research on my competitors. I was new to the company I was at, and so none of the competitors knew who I was. So I went to a trade show and asked all of my competitors for quotes. Well, wouldn't you believe that not one competitor got back to me after the trade show? Not even one. After that, I wasn't really afraid of my competitors because I knew that they're wasting all this money on trade shows and nobody was actually following up with the customers. That was a huge advantage for me. A more traditional method of broadcasting your voice are billboards. Typically, the companies that use billboards as part of their marketing strategy are focused on general consumers, not highly targeted industries. Radio and television ads tend to also be focused on the general public. Unless they're broadcast on a specialty station or show, this type of marketing is generally expensive and difficult to measure. Print publications. Print publications are still a popular way of spending advertising dollars. They can be very targeted and very industry specific. There are a few challenges with print advertising. First, it's difficult to measure their effectiveness. Second, print media has been rapidly replaced with digital media that's easier to digest, less expensive to create, and easier to maintain and update. If you decide to use print advertising, it's important to attempt to capture data on sales from these ads. Always put a unique URL in the ad so you can track traffic to the page, and always ask your leads where they found you. Again, a good structure to your sales and marketing process will help collect this data. Remember, in each category, you'll need to segment further to reach your target audience. For example, in your plan, you can write down print publications, but that wouldn't include Cosmopolitan magazine, right? If you're a contractor? Just like with social media, you'll need to reach the right niche where your potential customers are most likely to be. So make sure that you are more targeted in your plan and you've made those decisions. After you research who your audience is and where they are, you need to set a marketing budget and plan your spend. You need to allocate where every penny is going. Stop reacting. Don't purchase ad space just because there's a promotion. Don't purchase ad space because you don't want to say no to the rep who's selling it to you. When you have a set budget, you can take comfort in the fact that you're doing the right thing and that you're in the right places at the right time because you have a well thought out plan. When they call, I often tell sales reps that my budget for this year is spoken for, and if they'd like, they can contact me in October or November when I'm planning the following year's budget. This doesn't reject the rep's offer, but it also gives you time to think about what they could offer you. The third step of the sales process analysis is to measure the results. The framework that you created in the first step will support the structure of how you measure the results. And it's important to discern what data is important to your company. Website traffic, sales performance, ROI on marketing efforts, customer satisfaction. A good company with good framework will gather data behind the scenes, not add to employee workload. Without a way to measure what's working and what's not, you're just spinning your wheels. You need to be agile in business. You need to be able to make decisions that'll move your company forward. You need this data to adjust the structure of your system. And you need this data to show what of your marketing efforts is making a return. There are many software options that can help here, many of which can collect data automatically and send reports monthly or quarterly. The whole aim is to reduce workload and increase efficiency. So using automation and reliable tracking software is invaluable here. So you'll see that this process, it's cyclical. You build your framework, you find, refine, and project your voice, and then you measure it. Those measurements will help you tweak your framework, they'll help you tweak your voice, and then you measure it again. This is an ongoing process. So what happens in your company when you accomplish these 3 steps? Significantly fewer fires to put out daily. Reduced email burden. Eliminate friction between employees and faster training of new employees. And the reason for this is because now people can rely on the system to say what's next and whose job it is to do each step. Now we'll look at systems a little deeper. Your sales and marketing process must be fully integrated into the organization from beginning to end. It must have crystal clear objectives. It must represent your unique selling point. And it has to consciously eliminate waste of time and effort. To begin a sales process analysis, observe and document your current procedures. Observe several areas of your company, including your people, your products, your system, your customer, your current KPIs, your distinction among competitors, and your communication between departments. And what's the purpose? To identify inefficiencies in your current system, to make recommendations based on observations, and to optimize your sales and marketing structure. The overall goal is to systematize the sales and marketing process to make it repeatable and scalable. The more repeatable and scalable your company is, the more you can sell with less effort, and who doesn't want that? Now we'll take a closer look at the process. So let's break down the sales and marketing process. I like to think of the sales and marketing process in 2 stages, pre-sale and post-sale. There's a lot more to it than just going out and selling something. There are several steps that you and your employees go through every day, and you need to think through what's happening and make it more efficient. The first step are your marketing efforts and your website. Determine lead origin. How is that being handled? Does your website have a good contact form? Is it going to the right people? Who's answering the phone? And where are those leads going? The first contact with the company is the second step in qualifying the lead. The third step is gathering the customer information. Does the lead need a budgetary or a detailed quote? These are questions that can be asked right at the beginning. You don't want to waste a whole lot of time making a very detailed quote when they're just tire kicking. On the other hand, you don't want to scribble a quote on a napkin when they want to take a quote to the bank. So there are some questions that always need to be asked so you get a better idea and make it more efficient. Number 4 is preparation and delivery of the quote. What software are you using? How is it being delivered? Is it being delivered in the most efficient way? Follow up. So many salespeople fail at following up. You need to follow up until the customer says no. And I don't mean irritate your customers. I don't mean bug them every day. I mean have a good schedule for following up. Number 6 is closing the sale and determine the cause of wins and losses. This data can help you see if your audience is too price sensitive, whether the reasons why you're not making sales and the reasons why you are making sales. If you gather data on why you made the sale, you might have a strength that you haven't realized yet. And that strength could be marketable. And post-sale. This is after the commitment has been made by the client. Number 1 is your sales and paperwork. What software are you using? How are you writing up that paperwork and how is it delivered to the customer? And collecting your deposit. Is it easy? Do you have to wait for mail? There are a lot of ways that you can streamline that process. The second step is communication with the customer regarding expectations. There are a lot of companies that drop the ball here where they get the deposit and then they kind of disappear for a while. It's important to follow up with the customer after the sale while you're going through the post-sale process. And a lot of this can also be automated. The third is dealing with setbacks. Setbacks are always going to happen. You need to plan for them. Things like weather, short-shipped items, items out of stock or back-ordered. Setbacks are always going to be there, and you need to have a plan B for each of those setbacks so that it's not a giant fire every single time you have a setback. The fourth part is delivery of goods or services. How is your product delivered? How is the paperwork delivered? And how is that processed within your company? Following up after the sale. Always touch base with your customer, whether it's an automated email or whether it's a phone call. Always touch base with that customer afterwards. And then gather data to improve the sales process. You can measure things like from order to shipment. You can measure things like questionnaire to the customer after the sale. All of that data is very important to collect so that you can make the sales process better and more efficient. So how do we analyze each step in the sales and marketing process? We use 6 lenses to examine each step. Through each lens, we seek answers to specific questions. The first is quantifiable measurements. What is currently being measured in your company and what needs to be measured in your company? Effective communication between departments. Is the necessary information being collected from the potential customer? And is the information being effectively passed to the proper departments? Customer service is the third one. How are your customers being taken through the process? Are customers dictating the process? That can be very dangerous. Have employees become slaves to the structure? Are they relying on your current structure and not using their brains? Does customer service have clear authority levels? This is important because a lot of time is wasted with those customer service employees asking questions to people with more authority. And they should have levels like in some companies, the customer service department is allowed to make decisions $500 and under, and they only need clearance for $500 and above. So there are a lot of things like that where if they have clear authority levels, they can take responsibility, and it saves a lot of time and in the end a lot of profit. Standardized procedures. Is every step documented? And this seems like it would be a big job, but really with modern technology, this is not a big job. It's as easy as taking your phone and making a video of what you do. How do you make a sales order? How do you create an invoice? How do you make an estimate? How expectations for phone calls? You can very quickly make a video and have it stored somewhere on a company server. How much repetition of tasks occurs on a daily basis? Do you have people that are writing the exact same email every day to 10 different clients? If so, you can have some automation in here and some preparation to make this easier so they're not sitting there typing that email over and over and over again. And that brings us to how much of the process can be automated. The fifth lens is sales skills. Do your salespeople have the necessary sales skills? Do they need to go for training? What personality profiles do your salespeople align with? And this is important because you need to create an environment for your salespeople to sell. And all salespeople are different, so you need to figure out who they are so you can create that environment. Does each salesperson have structure with room for flexibility? Do your salespeople have clear sales targets? Number 6, appropriate roles within the process. Are there responsibilities that shouldn't belong to a specific role? Are there duties that can be delegated to another employee? So make sure you take a look and think about those 6 lenses as you go through your process. Once you work through your framework, you can hone in on your marketing strategy. Having a digital presence is very important and is often overlooked or ignored because a company doesn't know where to begin. To give you an idea of how crucial it is, I've gathered some statistics. More than 70% of B2B buyers fully define their needs before engaging with the sales rep, and almost half identify specific solutions before reaching out. That means you need to be online so that your customers can do research and identify you as an advisor before they reach out to your sales rep. The majority of B2B purchase decisions are now made online. According to a report by Forrester, 68% of B2B customers prefer to research independently online. 60% of buyers would rather not communicate with the sales reps as their primary information source. According to Google, 71% begin with a generic query, which means they're looking for possible solutions to their problem first. They're not your product name or company name. So where do you show up in that process? Think about the problems that you solve, type in a question, and see if you come up on that search. 70% of B2B buyers watch a video sometime during the buying process. Does your content plan include video assets? According to a 2014 report by Google, almost 50% of buyers doing the initial research, so those are the ones selecting a short list of vendors to invite to the final stages of the process, were millennials. And that number continues to grow. So what that means is that millennials are doing this footwork. They're doing these initial searches. And where do millennials look? They look online. So if you want to be searched and found by a company, then you need to be online. So what does that mean for you? You need to develop a digital presence. Ensure that your website is responsive and optimized for SEO. If it isn't, all of your efforts are futile. Have your marketing budget tailored to help you climb the rankings in Google. Harness the technology available to small businesses. This all sounds overwhelming, and it does take time and effort, but at the core, it's simple. Once completed, you'll have a reliable framework, a clear, relevant message that's broadcast direct to your target audience, and the data necessary to steer your ship and make adjustments in real time. Once your sales and marketing process is fully implemented, you can expect to gain the productivity of 1 to 3 full-time employees without adding a cent to payroll. This strategy will be a big part of your company's success. So, with all of that being said, I have one last question to drive home my message. Where is the best place to bury a dead body? The second page of Google search results. No one will ever find them there.